Welcome to Across the Pitch. We're the soccer show for people who think Highbury is a new flavor of Kool-Aid.
Wait. What? No, please tell me you didn't call Highbury.
Well, I mean, maybe my American accent. But see, there's actually two, and I know that the one that you're thinking of is the one in that used to be in North London until it was demolished in 2005, which is of course the old home of Arsenal.
Right.
The Highbury Stadium that is still in existence today is the one that Accrington Stanley defeated Fleetwood Town at.
Oh, gotcha. All right.
In the EFL Trophy, and I actually did a little bit of research at the old Arsenal Stadium, which is at the Highbury, or how do you pronounce it, Arran?
Jesus Christ, you're winding me up tonight already, Phil. Oh man, Highbury. There's no berry. All right,
we don't have that kind of sound in American English.
Yes, you do. Okay, I have to say this because one of my old bosses, she was awful, just awful. I don't think I can say this on air, and I think this might be my ultimate revenge because she was, what was that show we talked about, that movie a couple of weeks ago where we were talking about horrible bosses? Office Space. That's the one, Office Space. She was directly out of that, I swear to God. She was typecast for this role. That's probably why she didn't get the role because, she was so much that manager. But she would legitimately say, I think we need to go to the library and find out about that. I'm like, hey, you're a college-educated person here. Library. She's an awful human being, and I'm so glad I don't work for anyone.
I don't know. I mean, if I see Bury, that's Barry to me. But,
fair enough.
And besides, otherwise, it's going to ruin the joke.
Yeah. Fair enough, man.
And anyway, the original Highbury Stadium was the Arsenal Stadium, which stood from 1913 until 2005. The Fleetwood Stadium actually was built in 1938, and it's named so because it's located on Highbury Avenue.
Well, that makes sense.
In Fleetwood, so it wasn't necessarily a rip-off. It's just the street that it was named after. But Accrington Stanley had some success at the Highbury.
Hey, don't get me wrong. It could well be Highbury because we're talking Northerners, all right? And I'm not taking the piss out of Northerners, that they do pronounce their English somewhat differently in the north of England as they do in the south.
Well, that actually might be one that we have to run by Darren, and certainly I would say on the broadcast, at least to me, it sounds like the commentators are saying Highbury.
Okay.
So.
All right. Happy to be corrected.
Well, we'll have to check that one out because I didn't even know that there was any controversy on that one.
Man. All I know is that they used to, and Arsenal fans will get typically annoyed by this, but Highbury, I don't know. I guess the Arsenal fans expected to win, so the opposing teams would call Highbury the Highbury Library because it was so quiet. They would basically say the home support was shit, and I've got to give them props for that. I think that's a great term of derision.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you have to say, okay, we'll give you that's funny, that's creative, but we've got a jam-packed show here today. What were we going to talk about?
Well, it's that time of year when we talk about the fuck up. No, not just the teams that are finding the mid-season timetable a squeeze and have totally shit their pants. Hello, Tottenham. No, we're talking the FA Cup. Yes. We're also talking about the EFL Cup, that other cup that no one really gives a shit about. And we're talking about the EFL Trophy. and many, many more ways in which teams will find themselves running a bit short on toilet paper. But first, here's Phil doing Matt's bit.
Don't forget to follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/acrossthepitch, on Twitter at acrosspitch, and on Instagram at acrossthepitch.
Damn, he's got to get a better intro. I mean, sorry, Matt. He's having some car problems. He couldn't make it to the famous Across the Pitch studios tonight. Yeah, he probably needs something else to bring in the show with. Do you know what I mean? A bit of pizzazz from old Mr. Wizard over there. We miss you, Matt. Hope the car's all right. Hope you're okay too, mate. Merry Christmas. Hey, speaking of days of note, yesterday was Argyle Day. Thought I should point that out. Happy Argyle Day, everyone.
Is that where everybody gets drunk in Plymouth?
Yes.
Okay.
At least I hope so, because I'd be really, really annoyed if they don't. It's Argyle Day.
And my name is Phil Kennedy, and I'm here with my co-host,
Aaron is.
And it has mentioned Matt's having some car trouble and won't be with us tonight, but we still have plenty to talk about.
Yes.
Plenty of things that Spurs fans have no idea about, because we're going to talk about trophies.
Oh, that was a biting comment, Phil. I love it.
And there's several pieces of hardware that aren't quite about to be given out, because they kind of extend these things out onto the calendar, but they're getting into their final rounds, and the fuck up. And there's actually a story behind that on the show notes. It was just written capital F lowercase a C-U-P with no spaces or periods. And
that was my wonderful.
So we have the fuck up.
That was my wonderful little show notes there. So hey, at least I typed it out, because good luck with my hand.
But we had some interesting action, and most notably, we had a Manchester derby.
Yes, I quite liked this game. I thought, well, honestly, I thought Man City would run away with it, and you know what? They did. So the EFL Cup, not to be confused with the EFL Trophy, the EFL Cup is basically what they would call the old League Cup. So this is the top four divisions in the English leagues. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the EFL Cup, it's what they term the Carabao Cup, and forgive me if I'm getting this wrong, that's like a Brazilian energy drink, which I don't think we see over here. It was previously called the League Cup, and the League Cup is basically the top four leagues in English football, so Premier League, Championship, Leagues 1 and 2 would all play off against each other, and it still operates that day, to this day. Now, it's a really and also ran sort of competition, and no one really puts much effort into it, especially, well, Liverpool and Arsenal, who see it as an opportunity to trot out their, well, B-side in Arsenal's case and C-side in Liverpool's case. Because Liverpool just has that depth at the moment, which I'm surprised about. But we're down to the semi-finals in this, okay? And it was a delicious matchup, because it was between Manchester United and Manchester City. And on the other side of the card, we had Leicester City and Aston Villa. Now, most people can probably see that, yes, Leicester City would win against Aston Villa. Man City would win against Manchester United, and didn't quite happen on Leicester City's side, which is a bit of a shock. Villa turned up for the first half, but on the other side, surely in some sort of semi-prestigious competition, you would have Manchester United probably going for their only trophy this year, running one against their crosstown rivals and putting everything in to beat them, knowing this is their only chance of silverware this year. But no, they folded like the proverbial, like the absolute house of cards that they are. And second half, I mean, I think they won the second half 1-0, but by that point, the damage was done. 3-0, 3 away goals, not that it matters in this competition, because now they go. So it's a two-legged competition, Phil. So in the semi-finals, you play one at home, one away, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah, that game was at Old Trafford,
Yes.
so Man United already had their home game.
Yes.
They're going to have to travel to the Etihad, already down 2 goals on the
Did you
aggregate.
just call it the empty head? That's
Yeah.
great. I haven't heard that before. Good on you.
But Man United, I'm going to tell you, I saw a stat that really kind of put things into perspective. Do you know that Ole Gunnar now has a lower winning percentage as manager of United than he had at Cardiff?
Oh, no. Really? Because that was a disaster at Cardiff by anyone's
He had
account.
a 30% winning percentage at
Ooh.
Cardiff, and he's at like 28. Also, he now has as many losses as Man United coach as Mourinho did in his whole tenure.
Mourinho's tenure wasn't terrible. He was just being a prat about it. He really was.
Right. But so what I'm getting at is in less than a full season, he's already lost as many matches as Mourinho lost in almost 3
Sweet.
years.
Can't be happier about that, mate.
Yeah, I mean, even Arsenal.
No. It's not an Arsenal show. We're not going down Arsenal.
But I guess the interesting side of the bracket, like you said, is Leicester City and Villa. That was at Leicester City. It finished up 1-1. So the second leg, and these second legs happen January 28th and 29th. The second leg is going to be in Birmingham. What do you think about that? Do you think that Villa's going to pull off the upset?
No, I don't. Villa were very, very sprightly in the first half. Probably a bit of an unfortunate goal for Leicester to concede. But the second half onwards, it was all Leicester. And I think I commented on our little chat there about the 70th minute mark where Leicester is literally camped. And I say literally. I mean, Villa would clear their lines and would go to the halfway line, straight back to where Leicester were camped on their 18-yard box, and they were just peppering the goal. It was only a matter of time. And I said with about 20 minutes to go, I'm like, I don't think Villa can hold out Leicester. And boom, a minute later, I put the commentator's curse on, and sure enough, in goes the goal. By a guy's name who I am going to butcher. He's worth mentioning, though. I like this guy.
Iheanacho.
Iheanacho. I rate this guy. Yep. I rate this guy a lot. Hey, I think he is great. He is one of those impact players that come off the bench and all of a sudden against weary legs, he's this guy that can move the ball about and get himself into positions. He should be commanding some big money. Maybe not this transfer window, but certainly next transfer window. I rate him, hey. I reckon he's good. Iheanacho.
The soccer show for people who think Iheanacho is the new item from Taco Bell.
Something like that. Yeah.
Do you know I tweeted at Taco Bell one time and recommended for them to add the Nacho Montreal to their menu, but I never heard back.
That's great. No, they're bastards. Fun story about Taco Bell. I've got a mate called Ruben. Hey, Ruben. He's still called Ruben.
Is it Ruben Andrade?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Go Cowboys!
Boo, you guys suck. Anyway, yeah, so I was being a bit lazy and I didn't get him a present, and we were sitting at the bar one night and I'm like, oh, hang on, mate, now your present's coming. So I tweeted to Taco Bell. I'm like, hey, I'm being a lazy bitch. Can you give my mate Ruben some half-price tacos? And they said no.
Oh, they responded. I didn't even get a response.
Yeah. Sorry about that, Ruben. I tried, mate. I really didn't try. It was just bullshit. We digress. What else we got on the show tonight, Phil?
Well, we haven't talked about the FA Cup yet.
Right. Let's talk about the FA Cup. Right.
And that's in the fourth round is coming up here in the well, actually, you have the third round replays still. So We should talk about that. Where the FA Cup, at least in these earlier rounds, if the game ends in a draw, it doesn't go to penalties. There's actually a replay.
That's right.
And the replay will happen at the opposite park of where the first had. So, like, for example, Bristol Rovers and Coventry had a 2-2 draw at Bristol. They'll now play a replay on January 14th, and that's
Right.
going to be at Coventry. Now, of course, Coventry is they're that team that's not playing in their own stadium, right?
That's right. That's right. They're playing at Birmingham City Stadium.
Yes. So,
Now, this is fun. This is great. Go ahead, Phil. Tell us about that.
well, so it's basically Coventry Stadium is owned by the rugby team, and they're having a dispute over the rent agreement.
Oh, no dispute. The dispute's over. They lost. Coventry, the Ricoh Arena, they lost, which is custom built for that team. But when London Wasps relocated up to Coventry, they tried to do a ground sharing thing. And, Coventry were like, no, we're not sharing. And I'm like, all right, you're out. Basically, they're like, you're out, you're here. I'm not even kidding you.
That's one of those situations where Andy Holt talks about this a lot, where teams, especially in like League One, League Two, are basically mortgaging their stadium to buy players with, and
Yeah.
it's one of those things where like when you're playing Monopoly, when you start mortgaging your properties to pay the rent, that's when you know that you're screwed. That's pretty much where you're at, is you're
Right.
mortgaging your property to buy players. And that's, like Andy Holt said, that's just never something that's going to lead to success.
Quite right. Andy Holt, by the way, for our listeners, is the owner of Accrington Stanley. Now, Coventry, when they first moved into the Ricoh Arena, were Premier League material. Well, they were in the Premier League. And now they're sitting third in League One. So it's been a bit of a fall from grace. And, yeah, I guess the rugby team up there pulls in more people than poor old League One Coventry does. So, sorry, guys. But anyway.
On the pitch, Coventry's been doing real well and could be headed back to the championship the way they're going.
Looks like they will be. But hang on. Let's go back to what we're talking about in the FA Cup tie, because there is a potentially delicious little matchup here. and I need to explain this for our viewers. So, Phil, you already said, there's a home and away fixture. So now Bristol Rovers and Coventry had a 2-2 draw. So that was Coventry away, Bristol at home, 2-2 draw. So Coventry will be playing the replay at Coventry, or Birmingham as it actually be.
Right.
Now, here's the thing. They've already set the FA Cup draw for the next round. So this is round 4 of the FA Cup. And guess who the winner of Bristol Rovers versus Coventry is playing away? Just guess. Just pick a team. We might have mentioned it within the last 5 minutes. Who could possibly Coventry play away at home against
Birmingham?
Yeah, man. This is one of these most remarkable things I think I've ever seen in my life. I think Birmingham was at home, but it was against Coventry at home in their sort of second home, I guess, or their home away from home. This is the weirdest thing. You've got a home game, yet the home game supporters in that sort of segregated crowd situation that they have there will be just in that little one tier over there. They'll probably sell like 2,000 tickets, and Birmingham will sell out the rest. It's nuts, man.
Hey, Aaron, are we the soccer show for people who think Birmingham's in Alabama?
You can think that. Here's one for you. For all you people listening in Birmingham, there is a worse Birmingham in the world, okay?
That reminds me, did you see the article that Peterborough was named the worst place in England to live for the second year in a row?
Yeah.
And they're on a 3-game losing streak, so things aren't going real well.
They need to be our team of the month.
I think we need to make Peterborough United our January team of the month.
Yes, go posh. They're posh, aren't they? They're the posh ones. Why are they called posh when it's such a shithole?
I know I've read why before, but I forget.
Yeah, I don't get that. Hey, any listeners out there, any posh fans, explain to us why you're called posh. Because from what I've heard, you're anything but. And hey, I'm not talking down with you. I'm with you on this. All right, all right.
Check this out. Actually the origin of posh is that meaning. The origin of Peterborough United's nickname of the Posh are thought to date back to the 1920s, where the team was known as Peterborough and Fletton.
Ooh.
Player manager Pat Turrell said he was looking for posh players for a posh team, and the nickname
Shut
sucked.
up. Shut up. Now that is gold. That is gold. Also, what like the hyphenated name as well. It's like, oh yes, we're up across, darling. Peterborough and whatever you said, Williams Wankery. Yes. What a bunch of wank. Good. Okay, all right. Welcome aboard, Peterborough. I hope you're going to enjoy your month with us.
This is actually confirmed on their official website. If you go to theposh.com/club/our-nickname, you'll find Peterborough United are known throughout the world of football as the Posh, and the nickname was almost certainly inherited from earlier unconnected professional football clubs in the home city. Although the present club didn't come into being until 1934, the Posh name came first to the fore a decade earlier, almost certainly stemming from Pat Turrell, a player-manager of Fletton United, a previous user of the present club's London Road crown, who announced in close of the 1921 season that he was looking for posh players for a posh team to compete in the Northamptonshire League, later the United Counties League.
This is brilliant. This is just brilliant. This is why I love football. Maybe not specifically for the Posh exactly, but I love these stories that they stick. I have no doubt in my mind that is 100% true. That's brilliant.
Oh yeah, I mean that's 1921, so I mean we're going on 100 years ago. That I mean I guess I assume that in the U.S. the 1920s is like the Roaring 20s. Everybody's like party. I assume it was probably similar times in England. I'm guessing where people were wearing their dapper clothes to the pub and
the pansies. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what the matchup that I see in these third round replays that really jumps out to me and is the national TV broadcast matchup, if you will, which is the Man United versus Wolves. And so the first game was actually played in Wolverhampton. That was a 0-0 draw. So the replay is going to be at Old Trafford. So first, Aaron, I'm going to ask you for a prediction on the second leg of that, and then we'll kind of segue into the next segment that you had.
Okay, all right. Here's what's going to happen here. Wolves at Man U. Wait. All right. Let's do this. Wolves at Man U. Man U, I don't think, could come in a sock. Do you know what I mean? Like, they are just rubbish right now. Wolves seem to be a little bit schizophrenic, I'm going to say. They look great one day and just awful, like they've wet the bed the next. Do you know what I mean? They're just awful.
I think what that comes down to is I think they're a lot like New Mexico United in the sense that their starting lineup is as good as any team in the league, but they don't have that depth at the backups. Plus, they've been playing those extra games in the Europa League.
Oh, okay. Are you talking Man U or Wolves here?
Wolves.
Okay, all right. Because you could have talked about either side there. Well, maybe not Man U with Europa, but yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah, well, I mean, Man U's in the Europa League too, aren't they?
Are they? Oh, I thought they were dumped out already. Okay, fine.
well, I mean, but still, Man U, regardless of how much they're struggling, they're still an extremely wealthy team with a wealth of depth and talent in their system. Where Wolverhampton, they're a team that they're only in their second year up from the championship. I mean, they're still building their roster. I mean, Manchester United is a fixture in the Premier League. The Wolves are still, 2 years ago they were playing in the championship. They're still having to build up
I
to
don't know,
having
man.
a full depth Premier League roster.
I don't know, man. I think you're selling the Wolves short here, okay? So here's the thing. Man U is a team, much like Arsenal, that has lost its way. You've got so many particular interests within the structure of Manchester United, and they're pulling each and every way that you can't actually get any consistency on the pitch. And you've got poor Ole Gunnar Solskjaer sitting on the sidelines going, cool, I'm going to have to deal with all these personalities on the pitch. They're not listening to what I'm saying in training, and I've got the bosses above me screaming. He's pure middle management, this guy. When you look at Wolves, a completely opposite sort of outfit. Here you have Nuno Espirito Sanchez. I hope I said his name right. Nuno, the scout Nuno. He bosses that team around. He's brought in or overseen players that have been brought in that fit that squad. This is a squad. May not be made of superstars. They've got some very, very good players in there, mind you.
Oh, of course.
But
I
they
think
play as a team, and they are playing as a team right now.
I think you're missing my point a bit where all I was trying to get at is with the Wolves, I feel like there's a bigger drop-off between their first string and their second string
yes.
in Big Six teams. So that's what I'm saying is, so when the Wolves get into a spot where they're having to play 2 or 3 games in a 7-day period and those second line guys are having to come in, that drop-off is what's hurting them.
Possibly, yeah. All right, I'll give you that. Manchester United should have more depth and does have more depth when they want to play. But here's the thing.
Right.
Wolves are going to be playing their first team in every single competition. So what are they in 3-4 now?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like we talked about with New Mexico United last year. New Mexico United was an expansion team in the USL. They had to play those extra games in the US Open Cup. Their first line players were as good as anybody, but then the drop off from their first string to their second string, and when they had to play those extra games, and then their second string guys started having to get in the lineup, that's where they struggled. And I think that's what you're seeing with the Wolves is so with a team. Let's not even take Manchester United. Let's take Chelsea, for instance. If you look at that,
all right, we're gonna have to go there. All right, you say what you're saying, Phil, but we're going there. All right.
Well, I was just gonna say, if you look at the Chelsea's top 11 players and then 12 through 22 on their roster, there's going to be less of a drop-off than there is with the Wolves, a 1 through 11 versus their 12 through 22. There's going to be a bigger drop-off between their starters and their backups.
No doubt. But here's the thing, that first 11 for Chelsea are kind of a bit shit at the moment, and Matt's not here to defend them, so I'm going to say it. They're a bit shit at the moment. They're a bit on the nose. Frank Lampard does have a bit of a leeway here for a year or so. They're obviously not spending in the January transfer window because there's been no rumours whatsoever. But here's the thing. The Wolves squad, I know you're saying, that there's depth on paper, but the Wolves squad just seems to play better together. They're an overachieving
Well, I think
team.
the Wolves' top 11 is as good as anybody other than Liverpool and Man City. But it's their backups that aren't. So, I think the Wolves' top 11 is probably as good as Leicester's top 11, but I think Leicester has more depth on the bench and more guys to bring in. Also, Leicester isn't playing in that extra competition.
True. Okay, so Matt couldn't be here tonight, so he did seed us with a topic that he wanted to talk about, and we're probably going to take him apart here. But he said, this is his topic for tonight. Will Wolves finish 4th? Phil?
No.
I agree. No. But here's the thing. They're certainly going to challenge the fourth. I think, you know what, they've had a bit of a rough patch. They've had some good teams to play against, nothing to sneeze against there. Wolves, in general, seem to be a team on the up. All right, let's have a look back here and see who they played against.
They've lost their last two.
Yeah, they have. So they lost against Watford. Watford are a team on a manager bounce like the likes I've never seen. That is incredible. They're going to survive the drop, Watford. They've lost against Liverpool. They've lost against Man City. That's not a bad run, considering the combined run of goals between those two. The combined goal difference was -2, right?
I mean, here's what I look at. I mean, if you look at the Wolves' remaining schedule, it's not easy. Now they
just got done with Liverpool and Man City. They're the two teams that are above them. Maybe Matt has a point.
Well, they've got Liverpool coming up right again on January 23rd. Then they've got United at Old Trafford. Then they've got Leicester. Their last game of the season is at Chelsea.
Yeah.
They've got to play Arsenal again still. They've got to play Everton, who's on a manager bounce. Their remaining schedule is not easy.
And they do have the Europa in there as well. Fine.
Yeah.
But think about those three of those teams that you mentioned. Well, two of them. All right, so Manchester United and Chelsea. Not looking great. Yes, they have got Arsenal, who finally look like they're on a manager bounce, finally. But, I mean, out of those three, I think they're probably winnable games, if not draws. Draws won't get them ahead of them, but it'll actually keep them in the competition at least. Anyway, they're not going to end up fourth. But they're going to give those teams above them a good push. I'm well impressed with Wolves. The second half, or what should we say, the second quarter of their season has looked very good.
I think that the Wolves will finish probably 7.
7th behind who?
I mean, I think actually I'm going to put the Wolves maybe even 8th.
Really?
I mean, they're 7th right now, and I think Arsenal will pass them. I think Arsenal's going to go on a run under Arteta. I think that I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal finishes 5th. 4th would be a tall order. Yeah. But I mean, so here's what you're looking at. The Wolves are 14 points behind Man City, 15 behind Leicester, and 28 behind Liverpool. They're not catching any of those three teams. The only team that they can possibly catch to finish top 4 is Chelsea, who they have to play at Chelsea the very last game of the season.
Do you think this is maybe why he put it to us, why Matt put it to us like this? Because he saw this schedule ahead of time, didn't he? He's like, this is going to be great. Are Wolves going to beat Chelsea at home to get that 4th place? Ooh, damn, this guy, this is why we call him Mr. Wizard. He's got the great questions, hasn't he? Good on you, mate.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there could be a lot that could happen, but I think Arsenal's going to make a run here. I mean, if you look at the way that they've played under Arteta, I mean, here's the thing: is Arteta has gotten Mesut Ozil going. Yeah. If you actually get Mesut Ozil playing at 80% of what he was during his prime, it's suddenly a completely different Arsenal team, because then Mr. Assist is back. Lacazette's going to start getting goals. Pepe is going to start getting goals. I mean, I know this isn't an Arsenal show.
We're going to talk about them, though. I'm deliberately avoiding that conversation about Arsenal tonight because, you know what? I think I've already seen improvement in Arsenal. I want to talk about them in another couple of weeks. All right? And see how a couple of little middling games in the Midlands in the mud, see how that pans out. And we'll see how they come out the other end of that. And we should be having a chat about that then.
Yeah, we also do need to send out a get well wish to Callum Chambers, who is out for the season. That was a blow because, I mean, he was having a career year, and Arteta was looking to have him be a starting center back, you know, and I'll tell you what, and I'm not the only one that said this. I said this, and then I was kind of like, well, you know, he's my guy. Maybe I'm just saying this, but then I saw other people saying it too. Is that they would have won that game against Chelsea had he not gotten hurt.
Well, yeah, because guess who came on?
Mustafi.
Mustafi, Shrukhtan Mustafi, or Shocker Mustafi. No, wait, no, I'm getting that mixed up now, aren't I? Let's just go Mustafi. He's
Shokradon.
awful. Shokradon, Shocker, and done.
Shokradon.
Shocker and done.
For people who think Shokradon is a dinosaur.
There's, well, mate, he lopes around like one. He's awful. He's just awful.
And Chambers assisted on that the goal in the Chelsea game also. I mean,
he did. Hey, I have to agree with you, Phil. Chambers looked great. I didn't rate him last year. You were calling him out as being great, but he was probably sitting in the middle of some awful, awful defence, and turns out he was. And you were right. He is a good centre-back. He's been playing very, very well recently, and now he's out, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, it was just it's one of those things where you see a guy like that where he's not Neymar or Mbappe. He's a guy that's had to work to get to where he is.
Oh, he's a grafter, yeah.
And he's finally kind of turned that corner, starting every week, starting for Arsenal every week, and he blows out his knee. I mean, that's just one of the ones that makes you shake your head.
Yeah. I've got a really, really controversial statement to make, okay? So, Lucas Torreira was Arsenal's player of the month. Yeah. Do you know what? I reckon he only just won that. Only just won that by one other player. One other player outperformed his previous, let's call him most improved, shall we? Most improved Arsenal player of the month, and one that I actually gained a bit of a modicum of respect for over the past 3 games. Who do you think I'm talking about?
David Luiz?
No. Well, he did very well against Chelsea, but no. Granit Xhaka.
Oh, yeah. He has really...
I tell you what, I was firmly in get rid of that see you next Tuesday after that whole, blowing off the crowd nonsense and his awful, awful games beforehand. But somehow, something happened. Someone said in his ear, prove them wrong. And guess what? Over the past 4 games that he's appeared, he has. He's been solid. And I've been really
has. He really, really has. I mean... As upset as I was for how he acted coming off the field and throw the jersey and tell the crowd fuck up.
Right, yeah.
But so anyway, here's what bugs me as a sports fan more than anything is... So what he's saying, and it's true because you see it happen all the time, is, people are sending him death threats and things like that. In my opinion, the worst thing that you should ever say about an athlete is you suck on the playing field, trade you or cut you, I don't want you on the team anymore. Criticism of an athlete should never go beyond that. Same thing. Criticism of a manager should never go beyond fire the manager.
Fair enough. I mean, there's no need for it to get personal, is what you're saying.
Right, exactly. Any criticism should go beyond on the playing field. You can say whatever you want about, you can say, you know what, you're the worst player I've ever seen. You can say, get off the team, don't ever wear the jersey again. Keep the criticism to the field.
Yeah, and even then, all right, let's keep it on the field. And let's keep it nice. I have to share this anecdote. And I kind of feel like a bit of a bastard in sharing this, looking back on it, because,
we all have those moments.
I could have well gotten thrown out for what I said. I was at the Emirates watching Arsenal versus Tottenham, and it was the second leg of the EFL Trophy, or the League Cup, the EFL Cup, or the League Cup, as they called it back then. We were 2-0 down against Tottenham, so they scored 2 goals against us. We ended up pulling it back to 2-2 in the second leg of the Emirates, and I was there in the stands. And I was probably, about 8 or 10 seats back, pretty much right over the halfway line. I had a very rich friend take me along to this one. And that was in the days when Robbie Keane was playing. Now, Robbie Keane, he was an okay player. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He went for a very, very obvious dive after quite an innocuous sort of tackle by, I forget who tackled him. And he went diving and rolling across the pitch. And I stood up in a fury along with everyone else and I said, F you, you effing spuds diving, seeing Irish twat. And I sat back down and my mate was like, hey. This is the guy that took me to the game. He's like, hey, everything you said there was correct, but just don't call him Irish.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned this once before.
Yeah. All right, well, here it is. So here it is again. And you know what? It was factually correct. And obviously, being an Aussie, I didn't quite understand the depth of antagonism between the Irish and the English, or the Irish and everyone else in the world. And please don't call FIFA on me for that comment. But my point is that
I'm half Irish, so I'm signing off on it. So.
All right, thank you. Stop making it personal. That's where my rant was going. Don't make it personal. He's a diving bastard. Leave it at that. Phil, I've said my piece. Let's move on. We have one more thing. Over to you, Phil.
Yeah, let's talk about the EFL Trophy. And I will tell you what, I would never have thought at the beginning of the season that the EFL Trophy would be the competition that I'd be most excited about.
Man, I had to say, I had to look this up. When you were talking about this, I had to look this up. I'm like, EFL Trophy, what the hell?
So it's actually, this year, it's called the Leasing.com Trophy.
So they only get it for a year, is that right?
Well, it was called the Check-A-Trade Trophy last year, and then it had another sponsor before that. But so basically, this thing's been around in one form or another since 1983.
Explain it to our listeners. What is the EFL Trophy?
The EFL Trophy, in its current format, it starts off with 64 teams, which are the 24 teams in League One, 24 teams in League Two, and then there's 16 spots that go to the Premier League under 21 sides.
Boo! Boo! That's like having MLS 2 sides in there. Boo!
We'll come back to that because okay. I don't personally have a problem with it, and I mean it's
why? It's their academy players. They're basically blooding their academy players against these. Why aren't they loaning these guys out to these teams? Do you know what I'm saying?
I don't see the harm in it, I guess.
I do. I mean, you have your academy players, but if they're a good enough player to be able to play in this competition, loan them out. Let them have some League One, League Two experience, probably League Two experience. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that this may be kind of a way for maybe some of the academies to gauge where these players are at when they're watching them play in this competition.
Well, loan them out then. That's a good way. Well, maybe, I don't know. Are they okay? Let's go there. Are they not good enough to be loaned out? Is that what's happening here?
Possibly, I mean, the Leicester under we're up to the round of 8 right now. The Leicester under 21 team is the only under 21 team that's still left to the round of 8. Most of them didn't advance past the group stage. Accrington absolutely hammered the Liverpool under 21 team.
That was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well done, Accrington.
So, I mean, here's the thing: if the under 21 teams were coming in and dominating or winning the competition, I would say, okay, maybe there's a problem. But if they're coming in and getting eliminated in the group stage for the most part, I don't see what the harm in it is.
Well, maybe the harm to their self-esteem. It's like, oh shit. We lost to who are they?
Well, I'll tell you, who are they? Are in a pretty good spot right now in the EFL Trophy, which has me quite excited. We're into the round of 8, and the round of 8 draw actually happened today.
Eventually.
Accrington Stanley drew Salford City. Now they'll be playing at Salford. Now this is actually a bit of a local derby. And then we also have one of our other favorite teams, Newport County, still alive. They're playing the Leicester under-21. That game's going to be at Newport. The other teams left are Exeter City and Stevenage play each other. Both are League Two sides. And then in the final one, we have Portsmouth, the defending trophy champions, hosting Scunthorpe. So you have to figure out of these 8 teams that are left, Portsmouth is going to be the favorite. Accrington really has to be the second favorite because otherwise all the other teams are either League Two or the Leicester under-21 team. Portsmouth certainly has the experience of having won this last year.
They beat Sunderland, I believe, last year, didn't they?
Yes, they beat Sunderland in a game that drew 85,000 to Wembley Stadium. It was actually a record event last year when Portsmouth played Sunderland for the championship. I mean, you have 2 massive clubs like that. It's bound to happen.
So imagine if that actually went down. Okay, so they're playing the final at Wembley. Wembley is England's national stadium. It holds 90-odd thousand people, I think. But could you imagine Portsmouth versus Accrington?
What would you consider to be the equivalent of the U.S. to Wembley? The Rose Bowl, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. It was something with that sort of heritage to it. Yeah, I think that's probably fair. Yeah.
That would be a good poll question.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Well, we're going to put a poll up for what people think is America's equivalent to Wembley, because I don't know if there's a direct equivalent.
Maybe like what are they called? The Brick House, Michigan Stadium? Is that what that's called?
University? Oh, the Brickyard, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway?
No.
Oh, the Big House.
The Big House. Yeah.
Well, that's the biggest, but I don't know that it's... I mean, to me, the Rose Bowl is kind of because that's a big game that is nationally recognized.
Okay.
I mean,
yeah, no, I'd go with that.
We need to put out a poll on this.
All right, but my point is, okay, could you imagine? Let's put it in American terms, okay? Let's say you had, I don't know, let's do it in soccer terms, okay?
Okay.
So let's do LA Galaxy in a cup match final let's put it against our own little League Two team, Phoenix Rising. It's kind of like the level, I guess you could say, is the difference between the Portsmouth support and the Aki support, only because of the size of the towns. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Portsmouth is vastly bigger than Aki.
I would say it would be more like... I would say it'd be more like Atlanta. Yeah, I was going to say Atlanta United compared to Tucson.
Okay, all right, let's go there. So we're talking big fish in a small pond and a minnow who is probably biting those big fishes more often than the big fish would like. That's the end of that anecdote. But I think that's actually what's happening here. Could you imagine, though, basically what I'm saying is Wembley, Portsmouth...
Well, let's put it in these terms. Tucson has 15 times the population of Accrington.
Oh, shit. That's quite a bit. All right, but my point is...
Yeah, Accrington's 35,000 and Tucson's like 500,000.
Let me finish my point, Phil. Yes, I get you. I get you with the population. What I'm saying is, could you imagine, though, Portsmouth are thinking we're going to sell out Wembley and be like, no, mates, you're going to find that there is going to be a whole lot of brand new Accrington Stanley fans should they arrive in that stadium on that day. I think that'd be amazing. Could you imagine what would happen for that club? And I'm wandering off here. I digress, and I'm dreaming, and I'm sure a lot of other Aki fans are also dreaming about this as well. But playing at Wembley is a big deal for football clubs. And our friend Darren Woodhead reminded me today that Accrington Stanley is one of only 2 clubs in the football leagues to never have played at Wembley. Wembley makes a team. All of a sudden, people sort of sit up and nose the team when they play at Wembley.
Salford's the other one, right?
Are you fucking kidding me? They just joined. They're brand new. Fuck off, Salford. Fuck off.
Right, so I'm saying they're the other team that ever played at Wembley.
No, they haven't played at Wembley. You're right. Yeah. So good luck, Aki. I hope they get there. I'd love if it was against Portsmouth. Also, it'd be kind of nice if it was anyone other than.
Well, let me ask you this. Would you rather have an Aki versus Portsmouth final or an Aki versus Newport final?
Personally, I'd love an Aki Newport final. But they're not going to settle it out. They might as well hold it at Cardiff Arms Park because they get a few instant spectators wandering in from the valleys. But no, for pure cachet, it would have to be Portsmouth Accrington final.
Oh, yeah, I mean, imagine it was the Newport Accrington final. How odd and strange would it be that me and you here in Phoenix, Arizona would be like going apeshit over this fucking matchup?
I'm just going to say, if they both those teams made it and we weren't invited over as guest roving reporters by either of those two teams, I'd be really, really, really disappointed, I'm just going to say. So, hey, Newport, Aki, if you're there, you're listening to us, we're going to be there. Just invite us over. All right. We'll give you good coverage.
Wembley, here we
Wembley
come.
or bust. Right, we digress massively. I don't think we...
Let's make predictions. Well,
Okay.
So there's four games coming up. January 20th. It's a Monday. Somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
That was nice, man.
All right. Portsmouth, Scunthorpe at Portsmouth. Who are you picking?
Portsmouth.
What's the score?
3-0. Sorry,
I was thinking 3-0 too. So yeah, that's Portsmouth. All right. We have Exeter City versus Stevenage.
This is the
Exeter.
one. This is the one that I'm stuck on.
Mm-hmm,
okay, both League Two sides. Both doing okay. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, Exeter is second in League Two, and Stevenage is 23rd.
Oh, really? Oh, shit. Have I been looking at the wrong end of the table here? I guess I have, haven't I? Oh, yes. Shit. What the hell was I thinking of? I don't know.
I mean, it's at Exeter, so you know what? I'll tell you what. You have second versus 23rd, and it's at the second place home. Everybody's going to be picking Exeter. I'm going to say Burger King wins.
All right. So we've got second top from second bottom. I am going to go for Stevenage because it seems like one of those heroic tales. Okay? Bear with me. They're going to go down. They look miserable. They're going to go down, but they're going to have some sort of cup glory. They're going to win this game. They're not going to get any further. And I think, I think they're probably going to go out the next round in a blaze of glory, and they're also going to get relegated if they can get relegated. I don't know. I think we've only got one going down, so they might be safe there in 23rd. No, I don't know.
Yeah, there's only one going down, and that's because of the Barry situation. So
right, and there might be a few more as well. So
this is another kind of interesting thing to bring up. Is you've got Stevenage, who's 23rd in the League Two table, and Scunthorpe is 14th. Now Scunthorpe, they were at the very bottom, so they've been on a nice little kick up. But I mean, you have lower end League Two teams into the final 8 here. That's a pretty good run for both of these clubs. I mean, Newport's 15th, so I mean, these aren't.
Newport had a good start to the season, but they have dropped off in recent weeks.
Yeah, I mean they've got no wins in their past 5.
I don't know. I'm going to pick an upset here. I'm going to say Stevenage.
Let's go Burger King for the win.
We're going to go Burger King all the way. All right.
And then I know that we're both going to be picking Newport County over Leicester under 21.
Yes.
It's interesting. Newport actually beat the Leicester senior team in the EFL Cup last year when they made that run.
Right, they did. It was fascinating. I'm
that
obviously
was
going for
the FA
Newport
Cup.
as well.
I'm sorry, FA Cup that they beat Leicester.
No worries. And of course, our last match there. So yes, what have we got here? So we got Portsmouth, Stevenage, Newport. Are we all agreed on that?
Yeah. And then,
and of course, we're not gonna disagree with this one. I assume, are we? Salford City versus Stanley. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to. It's at Salford, but I think we're gonna have a big away fans, and you know what is Salford might be the one team that Stanley will actually have more away fans than they have home fans.
Hey. Yeah, I think you're probably right because the tiny club there in Salford. Hey, I've been saying this wrong, by the way. I've been saying it wrong. Now, Darren Woodhead was very specific when he said this. He's like, Salford, because it's like salt.
Yeah.
Like you say it the same way as you do. So it's Salford. Beg your pardon. Thank you, Darren Woodhead, for the reminder. Salford, I guess they're like the Red Bull of League Two, aren't they?
Pretty much.
Yeah. So they've got no fans. No one likes them. Boo, boo. I hope they lose on moral and also ethical grounds. Boo, Salford.
Well, I mean, here's the thing is, so I've got kind of mixed feelings about this. I don't have any problem with a bunch of guys like the Big Six or Class of 92 or whatever the hell they call themselves these days, getting together.
Shit. I think they call them shit.
And funding a non-league team up through it. What my concern is that they don't get bored of it and walk away from the team and leave them for shit 10 years later. If they actually follow through with it.
Follow through.
I mean, how does any team get up there? They get investments. I mean, I don't have a problem with it.
And this is it. And you've hit the nail on the head. Maybe inadvertently, the clock strikes 12 twice a day. It's an investment. So the class of 92 are investing in Salford just so they can go and sell it on for bigger bucks later down the road. That's not football. That's cynical. That's cynical business. That doesn't exist in football. How dare they? And I'm being quite facetious when I say this.
Oh no, I know. I mean, it all comes down to whether or not you buy into the fairy tale that sports are different than any other business, and at the end of the day, it's capitalism, and it's if sports weren't profitable, they wouldn't exist.
You're unfortunately 100% correct. Speaking of capitalists, it's Jose Watch. Yes, the Dr. Mourinho and Mr. Jose show is back on. And how much fun is this? All right. So a couple of weeks back, Matt and I were joking that, Mourinho lasts between 2.5 to 3 years at a particular club, right? It seems like the old happy days, everything's great, let's smoke some bongs, hippie Mourinho, has sort of gone by the wayside. And now that old, what's his name, that striker with the big nose that can't talk?
Harry Kane. He had hamstring surgery. He's out till April.
I don't want to make light of that because that is terrible for a player and a supporter. Like, no one likes to see that. But I can tell you who liked to see that the least was Jose Mourinho, and his demeanour has dipped somewhat. He seems to have been at the end of this hippie power trip of his, and now he's into more of the Vietnam War style Mourinho,
Well, I think what happened is when he was at that hockey game and fell on the ice, he hit his head and got a concussion, and now he's just finally coming back to normal.
Maybe he hit his head again and he knocked himself out of the concussion.
Not the concussions or anything.
No, absolutely not. But I was thinking more like cartoon, like you have to bang on the head twice and they're good.
We're going to get so fired today.
Oh, who's going to fire us? Our sponsors? We still haven't heard from Elton John. Anyway. So yes, where my rant was going was that we all knew it was a bit of a veneer when Jose Mourinho was happy to sort of start coaching at Tottenham. And I swear to God, you could just see the grimace behind the grin there when he did. But he did it anyway, and everyone knew it was going to be shit. And guess what? It's shit. Just put a little feeler out here and say, we will be visiting Jose Watch again in the next few weeks, and it's going to be grand. Stay tuned.
And our buddy Michael Cottier is going to be really happy with everything we're saying about the Spurs right now.
Who?
Michael Cottier, he's the Tottenham fan that accused us of being an Arsenal page.
Yeah, that's him.
Michael Cottier. Yeah, he's a Spurs fan, but he seems like a good guy otherwise. Thanks for listening and reading and talking on our page, even if you like Tottenham.
Appreciate it, mate. Really do. Everyone has to have the downside.
All right. What else did we have on the agenda today? Did we get through everything?
I think we may have. I think we've probably gone more through than we should have. I have Matt's still not by the side of the road. Should we send a cab out? Thank God. All right, Matt. Hope you're doing okay, mate. Hope you're back on the road.
Yeah, Matt. We'll look forward to having you back on the next episode.
Do you know who could have helped him out? AAA Roadside Insurance could have helped him out. Hello, AAA. Give us a call.
Or Mr. Goodwrench.
All right, that'll do.
AutoZone.
No, you're by yourself with that one.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
And with that bombshell, good night.
Thank you as always for listening to us, and for my brother from down under,
my mate from State 48,
on Stanley on.
Up Arsenal.